What is up, Breaking Bad fans? Kino here, and we are back with another Breaking Bad log. Today we're looking at the third episode of the first season, and the bags in the river. Now that title is of course a continuation of the title from the previous episode, and again refers to the situation that Walt finds himself in now that he has to deal with Crazy 8, who's still alive and still chained up in the basement. Now, this episode recap is a little bit shorter. Again, it's going to take a little while for things to get rolling, where I'll have a bunch of background information or themes to talk about. But this episode is notable for being the first instance we have of Jesse saying "bitch."
Oh, well, Heil Hitler, bitch!
We had a couple instances of him saying biatch in the second episode, but this is the first full-fledged bitch that he says to Walter or any other character. So that is pretty interesting. But without further ado, let's jump into the episode. This is And the Bags in the River. We open the episode with Walt and Jesse cleaning up Emilio's dissolved body from the previous episode. As we do so, Walt has a flashback to when he was a young chemistry student. He's with Gretchen, a character we'll learn about in future episodes, and they seem to be romantically involved. Together, they discuss the elements which make up the human body. After going through all the numbers, there seems to be a small percentage missing from the formula. Gretchen suggests it's the human soul. However, Walt says that they're only involved with chemistry here. This exchange reminds me of Full Metal Alchemist, but I'm definitely not going to show you any clips from that after the whole Toei situation. We then cut back to reality. Walt and Jesse rinse off in the front yard, which is an homage to Pulp Fiction. Later, we would get a fixer character like Winston Wolfe in Mike as well. Walt then goes to dump the shit from Crazy 8's bucket. He's still tied up in the basement. Crazy 8 demands that Walter either kills him or lets him go. He also reveals that he knows who Walt is because Jesse told him everything when they beat him up. Walt goes to confront Jesse, and they get into a fight when he catches him smoking their crystal meth. Jesse eventually storms out, demanding that Walter take care of Crazy 8 per their coin flip agreement. Meanwhile, Skyler asks Marie questions about marijuana, thinking that Walter's recent change in mood might be because he's smoking pot. Marie, however, thinks she's referring to Walter Jr. and asks Hank to scare him straight. She also shoplifts a pair of shoes, a habit we will see throughout the show. Hank then takes Walt Jr. to the Crystal Palace, a hangout for drug addicts and prostitutes. He calls over one of the prostitutes, named Wendy, and asks her humiliating questions in front of Walter Jr. in order to convince him not to do drugs. Walter Jr. is unfazed, though, as he has no idea what any of this is about. Jesse, meanwhile, is watching all of this from the motel window. He's hiding there, high on meth and paranoid out of his mind. We also see that he's a client of Wendy's, something that will become important later on. Walt then calls Skyler, pretending to still be at the car wash. However, she reveals that she knows that he quit weeks ago, and pissed off at all his lies, tells him not to come home. Walt then brings Crazy 8 some more food. However, as he's coming down the stairs, he has a coughing fit and ends up passing out, dropping the food on the floor and breaking the plate. When he wakes up, he and Crazy 8 have a conversation, with Walt trying to figure out any reason in order to let him live. Crazy 8 reveals that his real name is Domingo, and together they discuss their life and history. Domingo is the first person that Walt tells about his cancer, the first person he's really able to be honest with because of the messed up situation that they're in. They also learn that Walt bought a crib from Tampico Furniture, his family's store. In the end, Walt decides he can't kill another human being, and decides to let him go. He goes upstairs to get the key. However, Walt realizes that one of the pieces of broken plate is missing. This means that Domingo has it and is planning on killing Walter as soon as he gets free. Walt then realizes he has no choice but to get rid of him, and ends up strangling him to death with the bike lock. There's a great bit of cinematography here. As Walt opens the door to the basement, he's engulfed in shadows, showing the darkness that he's about to descend into, both literally and metaphorically. When Jesse returns the next day, Crazy 8 and Walter are both gone, with no signs of the struggle. Back in the desert, Hank and Gomez search the site where Walt and Jesse were cooking. They realize that there was a meth lab there, and they also find Crazy 8's car. They reveal that he was actually a snitch working for the DEA, and find Walter's meth in his car. They also find the masks that Walt left behind in the first episode. Walt then returns home and finds Skyler crying. He tells her that he has something to confess as the episode ends, and it's left ambiguous whether he's going to tell her about the cancer or the whole truth. We'll have to find out what happens in the next episode. And that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover in this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching, and stay tuned for the next Breaking Bad log coming soon. Don't let Patreon strain your brain-o. Just sing this short refrain-o. My videos are muy bueno. Kino is the name-o. Tommy Smith, Abdallah Alamari, Russell, Sean, Heart of Markness, Broccoli, Logan, Clean, John Reyna, Jesse Sterling, Andrew Stewart, Obscuracing Media, Daz J. Kit, Conan Higgins, Irish Nachos, Sam Cedarland, Don Lucania, and Celery Man.